Welcome to another episode of Extreme Metal Television. I'm your host, Simon. In this episode, we have a chat with Wretched, Skeletonwitch, and we have a look at stage diving and its effects on the metal community. But first, let's kick it off with a band profile.
World-class white trash was formed in 2010 in Olds, Alberta, Canada. The band released their debut in 2011, and they are currently working on a new album.
Pretty much just going into the studio and then spending all my money and then booking shows and then playing shows to get more money and then spending it all in the studio. So it's working out. Tony at AB Records has been really good. He's been helping us out.
Yeah, guy's solid.
Yeah, he's got a really good mindset to our recordings, and he knows what to look for, and he knows how to piece everything together if we can't get it all at once. So.
And where can we hear you guys' stuff?
Facebook.
Probably on our Facebook page, some of our older recordings.
Yeah, we got a couple of things on YouTube, but not really too much. We haven't
really do us any justice. It's old.
Yeah, we're trying to get our new recordings scratched out so we can maybe throw a teaser on there for new stuff for people to listen to.
You guys' music is quite intense. How does the songwriting process work? Do you guys do music first, lyrics later, lyrics first, music?
Darcy usually starts off with the guitar and we add to it, and then Nathan.
Or Trevor will start off and Darcy will go in with his rhythms, and then
pretty much starts with a riff usually.
A riff. We start seeing if anything matches up.
Then Rob gets a bass line and fiddles with that, and then Andy gets a drum beat. I can only really write after Andy puts his drums to it because that's the tone of the song, because any riff can be played to a fast or slow drum beat. So it's really the borderline there of what sets the tone of the song is the drum beat, and then that's where I get my mindset for my lyrics.
And what can we expect from World Class White Trash in the future?
More shows.
Pretty much the same thing. More of the same. We don't look towards changing. We look towards growing with what we have now, just making it as big and as expansive as we can with what we have, instead of changing our main fundamentals to try and evoke a new crowd. We're just going to keep our own crowd and fucking see if they can bring some more people in.
With Randy Blythe from Lamb of God's recent arrest and subsequent release from the Czech Republic on manslaughter charges, I was wondering what bands thought of stage diving in general. Now, it's become part of heavy metal culture. No one's surprised when you go to a show, you see someone jump up on stage and then dive back into the crowd. Happens all the time. But what if that person diving back in the crowd gets hurt, or even worse? Then who's to blame? Is it the band, is it the venue, or is it the person that jumped off stage in the first place? Personally, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. But I wanted to know how this was going to affect what bands thought about people climbing on stage and how they reacted to it. So we spoke to a bunch of bands about the issue, as well as a venue owner / stage diver and a promoter. And this is what they had to say.
You know, I like it when a kid can maybe get on stage and he's kind of
Aware of the band
and respectful, and it doesn't fucking unplug your guitar or bash your tuners or whatever. And I know that kids can get really annoying when the same drunk kid is just over and over just like, fuck, it's the ninth time I've been up here.
Yeah, like so many times.
I think it has its time and place.
Yeah, I mean, as far as being on stage with the bands I've been in, it happened, but it was a distraction to the band.
Yeah,
we weren't that kind of band. Sabbath wasn't a stage diving band. Ronnie didn't like it when I played with Dio, It was a distraction for us doing our thing, so.
When I'm on the stage, whatever's going on out there looks awesome, and I'm fine with it. When I'm in the crowd and people are jumping out, I fucking hate them. You're getting kicked in the head, you have to look behind you and walking all over, but from the stage, I love it.
You know what? I think stage diving is a pretty healthy expression of enthusiasm for a band, and I know when I was young, I'm too old for that shit now. I wouldn't dare stage dive. I'm too scared. But when people do it at our shows, I get really excited. I mean, it's only when they start to interfere with the band that it's okay, like last night, the dudes were starting to get physical with us on their way to stage dive. It's you know what? If you're gonna stage dive, just be cautious of your surroundings. Have fun, fucking stage dive. But respect the musicians that you're getting stoked on, and like you want them to keep playing so you can keep stage diving. So don't step on their pedals or push them over.
I guess the first question is, how did you acquire that injury?
At the Face-to-Face show,
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorite punk bands, and I finally get to see them live. I get to sing a couple songs with them, or sing a song with them, and therefore I got pretty much all access with the security.
Yeah.
So like a little kid who can't get enough fucking candy until all his fucking teeth fall out, I gotta keep running up on stage and flipping off there, back flipping off there, diving forward, swan dive. Yeah, let's keep doing it until you get hurt, and eventually, of course, I got hurt.
I feel like if you're going to go to a show, it's a risk you're going to take as a musician and as a concert goer. From a promoter's point of view, I feel like I don't really like it too much, because I feel like if medical injuries did happen, I could be held responsible for that. So it is something I watch out for at our shows. When people get a bit too rowdy, I kind of try to step in and let them know how I feel about it.
Coming from a band that we were synonymous with that.
Yeah.
At a certain point we had to get to it. Look, there'd be no stage outing. There was waivers up.
Yeah.
On the sides of the walls and the whole bit. I think if somebody wants to take that into their own hands and get up on stage and jump off, then that's their own prerogative.
Yeah.
But I will not be responsible for any of that.
What is the venue's responsibility? What do you think?
Venue's responsibility, in my opinion, is to let everybody have a good time.
Yeah.
And the environment that this type of music sort of projects, it's kind of like a snake eating its own tail in a certain way. It's like, on the one hand, you want the kids to have fun, and part of having fun and part of what the scene is getting your aggression out. Stage diving and this and that, it's all part and partial to the scene. You need to get that aggression out. There's so many people I know, myself included, that if it wasn't for that scene, you'd be dead or in jail. You need to get that out. So you gotta sort of, but look at it for what it is. But as a business owner, I see the other side of the coin, where it's such a liability. But at the same time, how much can you, like, do I need to have, I've been at shows, and once again, I won't say the venue names, but I've been at shows where there's a lineup of fucking security in front of the stage, making sure nobody's slam dancing, nobody's jumping off the stage, and they're looking at you and they're waiting to fucking throw you out for acting up. And that's bullshit. Yeah. You have to assume a certain amount of risk. Like I said, when I did this, in my opinion, like, I don't have a tibia anymore. You know what I mean? I don't have a tibia. I separated my foot from my ankle. It sucked. I went through 2 surgeries. I got 1 more coming up. It sucked. Is it the venue's fault? No. I was the one who went on stage. You have to assume a modicum of personal fucking responsibility for your actions. You know what I mean?
Like, we don't want to see anybody get hurt. Last night there was a kid who busted his front tooth and fucked up his elbow, and there was like a pile of broken glass in front of like where I was standing, and it was like, the kids are jumping up and jumping back into the crowd, and they're kicking shards of glass everywhere, and like, knocking mic stands over, and that hits a kid in the head or whatever. Like, that sucks. So you got to be like Kevin said, you got to be cognizant of it, and you got to be a little bit more aware. In the Randy Blythe case, I mean, I've seen a few photos that, from one angle looks really bad for him, and then from other angles looks really good for him. So I mean, it really comes down to, like, they were playing at a club that had security. There was stage hands. There's people that are there that are employed to handle that kind of situation. And I mean, if the band doesn't really want stage divers, or doesn't want the same kid running back on stage every 2 seconds and fucking shit up, then that's their job. They're supposed to help out and, in a safe way, keep the kid from getting hurt, and also keep the band going.
I don't know, personally, I think, like, hardcore dancing or slam dancing is just too much. Like, I think you can still enjoy a metal show and headbang. You don't have to go out and hurt anyone. But I mean, it's everyone's opinion. It's different for whether it's a young 15-year-old guy or like a 40-year-old man.
Well, a lot too today is like they have a lot of these kids. They do what they call hate moshing, where they try to hurt each other. And it's just, I think it's just, I don't know, maybe the youth these days is more aggressive than they used to be. I don't know what to chalk it up to, but that's what I think it is.
These things, they're imminent. It was going to happen. It's no one's safeguarding it. No one's checking it. No one's stopping it from happening. So what's the inevitable?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's the way I look at it. It was an inevitable. At some point, somewhere along the line, someone was going to stage dive and die. It's just, and somebody was going to be put responsible.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you could see it coming. I mean, that's the way I see it. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it's just the way I look at it, man. It's going on all the time. How long is it going to be before there's an accident? You know, that's the way I look at it.
So how do we stop it? Is it security's problem?
Well, it's a security problem, but it's also a mentality problem.
So yeah,
you know, it's part of the metal thing that I never really. It came to be. It wasn't something that. It's not from the era that I came from.
Yeah.
You know, in the early '80s, it started happening, sort of mid '80s.
Yeah.
With the invention of death metal and stuff like that. And the kids slam dancing, and then they gave it a name, called it moshing. And just the concept of I'm going out to beat on each other while the band is playing. There's something wrong with that.
Throw your elbows, look at friendly by the butt. Don't have to cry if you get a black eye. Just dive back in and give another try. But too much action.
North Carolina's Wretched has been releasing blistering technical death metal albums since 2009. We sat in on our soccer game and caught up with the guys to talk about their new album, Son of Perdition.
It's kind of a different sound for us, kind of new direction, I guess. Yeah, just tried something new.
Yeah, well, it's like the album seemed have a bit more melodic, maybe. I guess. What was the writing process like for that? Really?
It was very quick. I wouldn't say rushed, but like we had like a deadline before tour, and we just cranked. Like came together. We're doing like 14-hour days, like just like all together, writing together. Like
we all live in different places, so we just kind of got together all in one area. Like we all got together in Charlotte, and then just had like a couple days where we just drilled it out the entire day.
Yeah, the introduction was super stressful. Like I wrote it for full choir. I had to like arrange a bunch of people to come in and sing. Like, and Marshall and I recorded it in like 3 hours. Like
really,
it's crazy. And actually live organ at a church from a Catholic church in my hometown is nuts. So it's awesome. I think it came together really well. The instrumental tracks like really like flow well in the middle too.
You guys are just finishing up this tour with 3 Inches of Blood, and you're immediately heading back out on the road with Huntress. What keeps you guys motivated when you're on the road?
Playing on stage for 45 minutes every night.
Yeah.
It's the whole. That's why
That
we do
is
it.
the best part.
Yeah, the fans basically like just seeing their reaction every night just gets us pumped. Like
Yeah. It's like I don't even like we go through so much crap like in between shows, but it's I wouldn't change it any other way unless I was in like a tour bus making money.
Son of Perdition has an apocalyptic theme, and we asked the band to elaborate on the subject.
I think it's kind of something on everybody's mind, being at 2012 and all. It's nearing the Mayan calendar's prediction of the end of the world. So I don't know. I think about it a lot, and I feel like a lot of the people I work with and know think about it a lot. So more or less came naturally.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things mixed into it, like personal things, religious and political things even, but all of it's up to interpretation, I guess.
This last album on the Victory Records YouTube site, it had you guys playing all the songs individually, and you could click on you guys, I guess, recording and stuff like that. It was really, really cool to watch. You should did it on the last album as well too. But you find that really helps, like introduce people to the band, or even get people into the songs and stuff like that. I thought it was really
the tab video, because like a lot of our fans are musicians themselves, so they really want to feel connected and like be able to play the music as well. So kind of push their playing abilities. So
yeah, I hear that every night, like at least once a night. So it's a cool demonstration video, like I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah, it really was.
There was a huge incentive as well. Like we for the pre-orders, we had like a tablature book that came out with it. So.
Hi, this is Jarkko from Korpiklani, and you are watching Extreme Metal Television.
Playing in a metal band can be a hard road, but it can also be a lot of fun. We recently caught up with Nate and Scott from Skeletonwitch, and I wanted to ask them what made them want to be musicians in the first place.
For me, it was kind of like the classic older brother story who like turned me onto records and got me really into music beyond what was just on, you know, the crappy radio station in our small little like country town. Yeah. So I got turned on to metal and stuff and started really getting into it and early rock and roll. And so then I started buying CDs and vinyl and stuff, and just look, you know, like you're saying, like having the record, just seeing like, you know, MC5, or like looking at, you know, for Christmas when I was like 13, I got Cowboys from Hell, and I was like, I want to do that. Like just listening to it and looking at the records and stuff, you know, and I got a guitar and I just always wanted to do it. I just never thought we really could. Yeah. So I went to school, and that's where I met Nate.
Who dropped out of school. Same thing, like our singer is Chance, is my older brother, and he played drums in high school, so I started playing drums in 5th grade, and then got a guitar in like 7th grade, and you know, I always played guitar and never thought it was really a possibility to be able to go and tour and stuff like that. And then Scotty's brother actually started helping us like play out of town shows and stuff, and I think after playing those shows is when I really knew that it was a possibility. You know, it's always would be something in the back of my mind, but just like you said, like I live in middle of a shitty cornfield in fucking Ohio, so you know, how am I gonna do this?
Yeah, felt the same way. I always wanted to do it, but thought I had to go to school or do something else because we couldn't do it, and then we were like, this can fucking work.
I know there's lots of musicians that listen to this show, so I don't know what kind of gear you guys like to use.
I'm a Gibson and Marshall man. I like Flying V's and Les Pauls, and just a JCM 2000 100-watt Marshall head is what I've always used in this band anyway. So I'm pretty stuck in my ways. We've been like offered endorsements and stuff like ESP and some other things, and I'm just like, I mean, I've already bought Gibsons. Why do I want to put them away and get a bunch of free stuff? I don't even know if I want. Like, I've got my own personal stuff that I've had for years and years and years. So it's more of a, this is the way I want to do it thing, instead of like, how many free guitars? Fuck yeah!
Yeah, God. That's funny. I was gonna say something, but I won't. I'll be nice.
Talk about your guitar
I'll be
stuff.
nice. Yep. Yeah. I mean, my amp setup's the same as Nate's. I use a Marshall like JCM 2000 tube amp. Neither of us use effects processors or anything like that. It's just straight in standard tuning. But both of my guitars, I also like Gibsons, but I'm a lefty, and they're hard to come by. And so I have 2 custom guitars that were made back in Ohio in Athens by 2 different like luthiers there. Yeah. That's and one is basically an Explorer, and one is a V.
Skeletonwitch's latest Forever Abomination was released last year on Prosthetic Records. Now the band worked with Matt Hyde as a producer on that album. Now he's a producer who's worked with a wide range of artists, from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones to Slayer. So we asked the guys what that experience was like.
It was great. Yeah. I mean, we had a little more time. We also had access to more, you know, Matt had a pretty crazy array of guitars and amps and stuff like that for us to mess around with. I mean, he's just done a lot of records, metal and otherwise. So he brought a lot of experience to the table. And we, as always, come really prepared, so we don't do much changing of music whatsoever, barely, if at all, when we're in the studio. So what he brought to it was just more, I don't know, I mean, experience, equipment, which was helpful too.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of wanted a little not like an extremely polished modern sound, but a little more modern than when we went with Breathing the Fire, because we purposely went slightly more organic with Breathing the Fire.
Yeah.
And so I guess we try to make it be able to compete a little more sonically with other bands' albums and stuff like that. So like if you listen to it on the radio or whatever, it's not like drastic differences in production and stuff like that. So
I guess we sort of realized that we always wanted to sound organic and not too overly produced.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we don't have to make it like it sound like it was recorded in a boombox inside of a trash can for cred points.
Well, that's it for another episode of Extreme Metal Television. I'd like to thank you all once again for joining us. I'd also like to thank my co-hosts King and Dr. Gore. If you'd like to get a hold of us, please feel free to send us an email at extrememetaltv@gmail.com. If you want to check out our Facebook page, you should definitely go out and do that. And before we let you go, here's A Terrible Tale from the Road from Titan Z.
No, this is actually funny. This is really funny. Okay, so my bass player got totally wasted drunk in Toronto, like beyond decapacitated, just gone, right? And he passes out in a wheelchair, right? Passes out in the wheelchair, and he wasn't making any sense, and somebody was pushing him around and teasing him when he was drunk, and he would never leave the wheelchair, and that went on YouTube. Someone put it on YouTube, and there's a lady just flipping out because they saw somebody was picking on a handicapped person. And so,